Is service always this slow in America or just when it's her? The glass hits the table with a sharp crack, water spilling across the white linen like a wound opening in the center of the ballroom. The sudden sound cuts through the polite jazz and murmuring voices. Heads turn. Cameras pause mid-flash. At table 11, Sheikh Karim Al-Hassan sits surrounded by gold watches, laughter, and million-dollar suits. His fingers, heavy with diamonds, tap against the dripping glass as he stares at the woman standing beside him. The waitress, Alana Carter, tightens her grip on the silver tray, her knuckles pale against the metal. For 3 years she's served this room, moving quietly between the powerful and the proud. But tonight, under the glare of chandeliers and whispers, her silence feels heavier than the trays she carries. Karim leans back, smirking. "Perhaps English isn't her strong suit," he says, glancing around the table for applause. The men laugh. The women cover their smiles behind crystal glasses. A ripple of mockery rolls through the air. Alana forces her breathing to stay even. "I apologize, sir," she says softly. Her voice is calm, careful, like someone balancing on the edge of a blade. One of the guests chuckles. "Look at her, she's shaking." She isn't. Not quite. Her hands are steady, her shoulders squared, but her eyes, deep brown and unreadable, hold something still and powerful. Karim waves her off dismissively. "Next time, maybe ask your manager to teach you how to listen." He laughs again, pleased with himself, the sound echoing off marble and money. From a nearby table, Ambassador Rayner watches the exchange. He's seen arrogance before, but something about this moment feels different. The woman doesn't flinch, doesn't argue, just lowers her eyes, as if saving her fire for something greater. The hotel manager hurries forward, panic in his voice. "Sir, please, our staff are doing their best." Karim doesn't even glance his way. If this is their best, perhaps they should find another hotel. Another round of laughter. The clinking of forks, the soft shuffle of waiters. Everything feels distant. Alana sets the last glass down, gives a quiet nod, and turns to leave. Her footsteps are measured, silent. But as she passes the mirrored wall, her reflection catches the light. For just a second, her expression changes. No fear, no shame, only something unspoken. A calm warning. Rayner notices it too. He leans toward his companion. "She's not ordinary," he murmurs. The man scoffs. "She's a waitress." "Maybe," Rayner says. "But look at her eyes. That's not submission. That's restraint." Across the room, the band shifts to a slower tune. Laughter continues at Karim's table, but a few guests are no longer laughing. One whispers, "Bit harsh, wasn't it?" Another answers, "He's a sheikh. Let him enjoy his moment." Moments later, Karim's translator stumbles over a phrase during the ongoing negotiation with the Western investors. The sheikh sighs loudly. "Useless. No one understands me tonight." His tone drips irritation. The translator bows his head, muttering an apology. Karim leans back, adjusting his cufflinks. "See?" he says loudly, glancing toward the departing waitress. "Even my interpreter struggles. No one seems to understand simple Arabic anymore." The remark earns another chuckle from his entourage. But from across the hall, Alana's steps falter. Her back straightens. She turns slightly, the faintest glimmer of something sparking behind her composed face. For a heartbeat, the room stills. She doesn't speak, yet. She simply stands there, tray at her side, breathing quietly as if weighing a choice that could change everything. Karim smirks again, satisfied with his own wit. He raises his glass, oblivious to the storm about to break. The chandelier light shimmers against the spilled water, glinting like fragments of glass and pride on the table between them. From his seat, Rayner studies the scene. This man of power. This woman of silence, and senses the balance tilting. Ever so slightly, he whispers almost to himself. I have a feeling she's about to show him exactly who's uneducated. And as Alana finally turns her gaze back toward Karim, calm and steady, the camera of a nearby guest phone tilts up. Catching the moment before history shifts? No. One in that golden hall yet knows it, but the waitress they mocked is about to silence a room full of millionaires with nothing but her voice. Don't. Walk away. The words slice through the air like a whip. Alana freezes mid-step, the tray trembling slightly in her hands. Every conversation around her fades to silence. She turns slowly. Sheikh Karim al-Hassan sits back in his chair, his gold watch flashing beneath the chandelier. "Tell me," he says with a smirk, "what does Sheikh mean to you, waitress?" A few guests laugh, eager to please him. One man whispers, "He's doing it again." Another replies, "Let him. It's good entertainment." The ballroom at the Imperial Grand Hotel is now a stage, and Alana, the quiet waitress, stands at its center. She wants to disappear, but walking away now would mean surrender. Her voice comes out calm, polite. "I'm just doing my job, sir." Karim raises an eyebrow. "Then do it properly." The laughter grows louder. Champagne glasses clink. Someone records on their phone, expecting a scene. From a nearby table, Ambassador Rayner watches closely. His jaw tightens. He's seen arrogance before, but this is cruelty dressed as charm. Karim isn't finished. He leans forward, elbows on the table. "Come now," he says, his accent rich and deliberate. "I'm giving you a chance to speak." "Or is speaking above your pay grade?" The guests chuckle again. One woman mutters under her breath, "Poor thing." Alana looks down, staring at her reflection in the tray. Her pulse pounds in her ears. She wants to stay silent to keep her dignity, but her silence is being mistaken for fear. The manager rushes toward the table, voice trembling. "Sir, please, Miss Carter didn't mean any—" "Enough," Karim interrupts, lifting a hand without looking at him. "I asked her a question. Let's hear the answer." The lights above shimmer against the marble floor as Alana finally lifts her head. "With respect, sir," she says softly, "I don't think this is the time or place." Karim chuckles, pretending offense. "Oh, and what place would you prefer to be corrected, then?" A ripple of laughter again. The sound is cruel, cold, echoing off the high ceilings. Alana takes a slow breath, her voice steady. "I'll bring your drink right away." She turns again to leave, but Karim's voice follows, louder this time. "Wait, don't bother. The bartender can handle it. I doubt you'd get the order right." The guests laugh harder. Someone claps once, mocking applause. Rayner's face hardens. He leans toward a companion. He's humiliating her for sport. The man beside him shrugs. "You can't challenge him here. This is his event." At Karim's table, the mood shifts. His translator fumbles as a Western investor leans in to discuss the deal on the table, a contract worth millions. But halfway through, the interpreter misreads a key phrase, turning partnership into possession. Karim snaps, switching languages in irritation. "That's not what I said!" He glares at the interpreter. "You make me sound like a fool." The interpreter bows his head. "Apologies, sir." Karim exhales sharply, rubbing his temples. "Even my translator doesn't understand me," he says loudly, the bitterness returning to his voice. "Seems no one here speaks proper Arabic." The crowd laughs again, weaker this time. A few guests exchange uneasy glances. Across the room, Alana's steps slow. The tray lowers slightly in her hands. Something flickers behind her eyes, a quiet storm breaking its patience. She turns her head just enough for her voice to carry. "I understand you." It's soft, almost gentle, but it cuts through every sound in the room. The music stops. Forks freeze midair. Heads swivel toward her. Karim blinks, a faint smile tugging at the corner of his mouth. "Say that again?" Alana meets his gaze fully for the first time. Her voice is calm, unshaken. "I said," she repeats, "I understand you, sir." The laughter dies completely now. Even the chandeliers seem to hum in silence. Rayner leans forward, his expression shifting from pity to curiosity. Karim smirks, trying to recover control. "Do you now?" He gestures toward her with a lazy hand. "Then perhaps you'll explain to my guests what I just said?" But Alana doesn't move yet. She stands in the center of the ballroom, her uniform catching the light, her composure radiating quiet defiance. Every eye in the room is on her. Every breath is held. And for the first time that night, it's not the sheikh commanding attention. It's the woman he just tried to humiliate. "Repeat that." Karim's voice is soft, but dangerous. The kind of tone that makes even laughter vanish. Every head in the ballroom turns toward the waitress who dared to speak. Alana doesn't flinch. "I said," she repeats, steady and clear. "I understand you, sir." A hush falls over the room. Glasses over Milea. The tension is so sharp it almost hums. Kareem leans back in his chair, studying her. "You understand Arabic?" he asks, half amused, half insulted. Alana nods once. Fluently, the guests exchange quick glances. No one expected that. Not from the quiet waitress who had been serving them all night. Kareem chuckles, trying to reclaim control. Fluently? He switches languages mid-sentence, the words rolling fast and deliberate. A challenge. "Then tell me, Mada kultu hal'an?" What did I just say? Without missing a beat, Alana replies in perfect Arabic. Her tone calm, her accent flawless. "You said, what did I just say now?" The room erupts in gasps and murmurs. Kareem's smirk falters for the first time. "You've studied," he says, eyes narrowing. She nods again. "Linguistics." "Cairo University, before moving here." For a moment, he says nothing. Then a slow smile spreads across his face. Not kind, but calculating. "Impressive. Tell me, do you also know who you're talking to?" "Yes," Alana answers quietly. "A man who doesn't like being challenged in front of an audience." The words hit him like a slap wrapped in silk. A ripple of unease spreads through the room. Rayner, still watching from his table, can't help but smile faintly. "She's not backing down," he murmurs. Kareem taps a finger against his glass. "You have a sharp tongue for a waitress." "Be careful. Sharp things tend to break easily." Alana's voice doesn't waver. "Then maybe you shouldn't press so hard, sir." The tension snaps. The crowd's reaction is immediate. Half of them stunned, the other half thrilled. A few guests even clap quietly, unable to hide their admiration. Kareem's expression darkens. "Enough," he says, standing abruptly. His chair scrapes against the marble floor. "You think this is a game?" "No, sir," Alana replies. "I think you wanted everyone to laugh at me. I just gave them a better reason to listen instead." For the first time all evening, Kareem is speechless. His jaw tightens, his pride visibly bleeding beneath the surface. The manager rushes forward, panic in his eyes. "Sir, please forgive her." "She'll be removed at once." "Don't," Kareem says sharply, eyes still locked on Alana. "Let her stay. I want to hear more." His tone shifts again, now curious, dangerous in a different way. "You studied in Cairo. You speak my language. So why serve tables here?" Alana hesitates, then answers honestly. "Because life doesn't always care about your degree, sir. Sometimes it cares more about who you were born as." That line hits harder than anyone expects. A silence follows, heavy, uncomfortable, true. Even Kareem looks away for a second, as if she's touched something he buried long ago. Then he laughs, too loud, too forced. "Well," he says, lifting his glass, "tonight, the waitress wins the argument." The crowd laughs nervously, unsure if it's safe to follow. Alana simply bows her head and walks away, her face calm but her heart racing. Rayner watches her go, then turns toward Kareem's table. He studies the man who commands oil empires and governments, and now, suddenly, seems unsettled by a waitress with a steady voice. Kareem drains his glass in one swallow, his gaze still on Alana. The laughter around him resumes, but there's no joy in it anymore. Only the hollow echo of power losing its edge. Later, as the guests disperse and the chandeliers dim, Kareem lingers alone by the window, staring at the city lights below. For the first time in years, someone had spoken to him without fear, and somehow, that bothered him more than the insult itself. Outside, Alana steps into the cool night air, the noise of the ballroom fading behind her. She exhales, shaking off the tension that still clings to her skin, but deep down she knows this isn't over. Men like Kareem don't forget being humbled, not in public, and when powerful men feel small, they don't forgive. "They retaliate. Do you think she's still scared?" Rayner's voice cuts through the quiet hum of the Mercedes as it glides through the city. Kareem doesn't answer. His eyes are fixed on the skyline, a cold, glittering reflection of everything he owns. Or thinks he does. Finally, he says, "Scared?" "No, that woman doesn't scare easily." His tone sharpens. "But she'll regret embarrassing me." Raynor glances over, half amused, half wary. You're really going to waste your time on a waitress? Kareem turns his head slowly, eyes dark. It's not about her. It's about what she represents. That sentence hangs in the air like smoke, heavy, poisonous. Across town, Alana walks home through narrow streets where the streetlights flicker more than they shine. Her shoes pinch, her uniform smells faintly of spilled champagne, but none of that matters. Her mind is still replaying every word she said, every eye that stared. She should feel proud. But she doesn't. In her tiny apartment above a laundromat, she kicks off her shoes and sinks onto the couch. A single framed photo sits on the shelf. A man in a graduation robe smiling proudly. Her father, "Dad," she whispers, "you'd have told me to keep my mouth shut." She lets out a bitter laugh. "But you also taught me never to let anyone talk down to me." Her voice trembles on the edge of both pride and pain. As she closes her eyes, a memory surfaces. Cairo, the lecture hall filled with sunlight and dust. Her professor handing her a letter of recommendation. "You have a gift, Alana," he'd said in Arabic. "Use it wisely. Your words can open doors, or close them forever." She had believed him, until the doors all slammed shut. Her scholarship ended when her father passed. The job offers vanished when employers saw her last name, her skin. The only thing left was survival. And in this city, survival doesn't care about degrees. A knock at the door jolts her back to the present. It's her neighbor, Lucia, holding a small bag of leftover bread. "You forgot to eat again," she says softly. Alana forces a smile. "I'm fine." "You always say that," Lucia replies, setting the bag on the counter. Then, lowering her voice, "They showed your video." Alana freezes. "What video?" Lucia hesitates. "Someone filmed you at the restaurant. It's all over social media. Everyone's talking about the waitress who spoke Arabic." The words hit her like a blow. Alana grabs her phone, her fingers shaking as she scrolls. There it is, millions of views. The clip starts mid-scene, Kareem's insult, her calm reply, the stunned silence that followed. The comments flood her screen. Queen energy. Who is she? That man deserved it. And then the darker ones. She'll get fired for this. Who does she think she is? Stay in your place. Her throat tightens. Fame wasn't supposed to feel this lonely. Meanwhile, in his penthouse overlooking the harbor, Kareem watches the same video in silence. The reflection of Alana's face flickers across the glass wall. Raynor stands behind him. "The internet loves her," he says. "They're calling you a bully." Kareem's jaw clenches. "The internet forgets fast." "I don't." He rewinds the clip, pausing on her face. "Find out who she is. Everything. Where she's from, who she knows, what she wants." Raynor hesitates. "Kareem, do it," he says sharply. "If she thinks she can humiliate me, she has no idea who she's dealing with." Outside, thunder rumbles over the city, a low, distant warning. That night, Alana lies awake, her phone still buzzing beside her. Part of her wants to hide. Another part whispers that maybe, just maybe, this is the start of something bigger. But she knows men like Kareem don't just walk away. As the storm rolls closer, she gets up, pulls the curtain aside, and stares at the dark horizon. Lightning flashes across the sky, reflected in her eyes. "I'm not scared," she whispers. She says it again, softer this time, not to convince the world, but to convince herself, because deep down, she can already feel it. The silence before something breaks again. She's the one, isn't she? Raynor's voice broke through the silence of the penthouse. He stood at the window, hands in his pockets, watching the morning sun bleed across the skyline. Kareem didn't answer. He was staring at the same video again, the moment Alana replied in Arabic. Her calm voice, the crowd's shock, his own face freezing in disbelief, he finally muttered, "Yes, that's her." Raynor turned slightly. "And you're still planning to—" "What, destroy her?" Kareem's jaw tightened. "Not destroy. Understand. No one challenges me like that without reason," Raynor sighed. You mean no one gets away with it? Kareem didn't respond. Instead, he poured himself a drink, though it was barely past 9 a.m. Find her employer. I want every detail. But by the time Rayner made the calls, the news had already spread. Meridian Restaurant's inbox was flooded with messages defending Alana, praising her courage, threatening boycotts if she was fired. The internet had chosen its hero. Interesting, Rayner said later that afternoon, scrolling through headlines. Waitress silences billionaire in perfect Arabic. You're trending, Kareem. Kareem's lips curved into a humorless smile. Let them talk. I built empires from rumors. A viral video won't ruin me. Rayner studied him for a moment, then asked quietly, what if this isn't about you being ruined? What if it's about her rising? The question hung in the air like smoke. Meanwhile, across town, Alana sat at the back of Café Solaris, nervously stirring a cup of tea she hadn't touched. Across from her sat a man she hadn't seen in months, her former professor from Cairo University, Dr. Hamid. He had been the one who first encouraged her to study languages, who told her she had a gift. And now, by sheer coincidence, or fate, he was in the same city for a conference. I saw the video, Dr. Hamid said gently. You haven't lost your fire. Alana gave a tired smile. Fire doesn't pay rent, Professor. He leaned forward. It could if used right. You've caught the attention of people far beyond this city. I've received 3 calls asking about you. NGOs, language institutes, even a journalist from Doha. Her eyes widened. They know who I am? They do now, he said. But fame is a double-edged sword, Alana. Handle it carefully, especially with men like Kareem al-Rashid involved. She looked away. He's not the type to forgive. No, Hamid agreed softly. But neither are you the type to stay silent. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The city's noise filtered in through the window. Horns, laughter, life. Then Alana's phone buzzed. A new message. Unknown number, it read. We should talk. Not as enemies. KAR. Her pulse quickened. She showed the screen to Hamid. He found me. Hamid's face darkened. Do not meet him alone. But Alana was already thinking, not out of fear, but curiosity. Why reach out now? That evening, as the city lights blinked to life, Rayner sat across from Kareem in the back of a black SUV. You really think she'll respond? He asked. Kareem smirked. Everyone wants to be heard. Even those who claim they don't. Rayner shook his head. You're underestimating her. Kareem looked out the tinted window, his reflection cold and certain. No, I'm preparing her. At that exact moment, Alana typed her reply. I'll meet you. But not on your terms. She hit send, her heart racing. Dr. Hamid's words echoed in her mind. Handle it carefully. But something inside her had shifted. She wasn't the trembling waitress anymore. The silence that once protected her now felt like a cage she was ready to break. Back in the SUV, Kareem's phone buzzed. He read her message and smiled faintly, the kind of smile that didn't reach his eyes. Good, he murmured. Let's see what she really wants. Rayner looked uneasy. Careful, Kareem. Sometimes the people we try to teach lessons end up teaching us instead. Kareem chuckled, dismissive. Not this time, but deep down for the first time in years. He wasn't sure, because something about her voice, the calm defiance, the quiet dignity, had left a mark he couldn't explain. And as the car disappeared into the night, both of them, the billionaire and the waitress, were walking toward a meeting that neither truly understood would change everything. Translate this for me. Then, Kareem said coldly, sliding a document across the marble table. The room was quiet enough to hear the hum of the chandelier above them, a private suite inside the Imperial Grand, the same hotel where it had all begun. But this time it wasn't a dining hall full of laughter. It was empty, sterile, echoing with unspoken tension. Alana sat across from him, wearing a simple white blouse. No uniform, no tray in hand. Just her, calm, composed. She looked down at the paper, then back up at him. Is this a test, Sheikh Kareem? He smirked. You tell me. You seem to like turning rooms against me. Rayner, seated off to the side, shifted uneasily. He had seen Kareem angry before, but never like this. This wasn't fury. It was something quieter, more dangerous. Alana took the paper, scanning it quickly. This is a trade proposal. Full of errors, she said softly. Your translator misunderstood key clauses. Kareem's brow furrowed. You're sure? She nodded, tapping one line with her finger. Here, for example. It doesn't say you're offering exclusivity. It says you're surrendering it. Rayner's eyes widened. Wait, that means that the deal he signed last month gives away full rights, Alana finished. Her tone was steady, but her words hit like thunder. For a long second, Kareem didn't speak. He just stared at her, the weight of her correction settling on him like a stone. Then she said quietly, You could have lost millions, Sheikh. Maybe billions, Rayner exhaled sharply. She's right. I warned you about that clause. Kareem stood up, turning away toward the glass wall. The city lights stretched beneath him, glittering like the gold he'd built his empire on. You could have told me this before, he said finally. Alana frowned. Before you humiliated me in front of your guests? You didn't want to hear a word from me then. Her voice was calm, but something beneath it burned. He turned back to her. You think I deserved that? You made me look weak in front of investors who respect power. And what do you call power? She asked softly. Making others feel small so you can stand taller? The words landed sharper than he expected. For the first time, the arrogance in his expression faltered. Rayner leaned forward, voice low. Sheikh, she's not your enemy. But Kareem wasn't listening to him. His eyes stayed fixed on Alana. You could have embarrassed me further. You could have destroyed me publicly. Why didn't you? She hesitated, then said, Because that's not who I am. Silence. Heavy, human, real. Then slowly she added, I didn't speak to win. I spoke because dignity should never bow to power. Not mine, not yours, Rayner swallowed. Sheikh. Kareem raised a hand, stopping him. He sat back down, his tone softer now. You've lived with that kind of restraint all your life, haven't you? Alana didn't answer, but her eyes said enough. He took a deep breath. You know, when I saw that video, I wasn't angry because you corrected me. I was angry because you reminded me what I used to be. Before the money, before the arrogance. Alana blinked, caught off guard by the honesty. He looked down at the document still in front of her. And yet you still saved me? Why? Because even arrogance deserves a chance to learn, she said. A faint smile touched Rayner's lips. For the first time in years, Kareem al-Rashid was speechless. He leaned back in his chair, the tension leaving his shoulders. You're wasted in that hotel, he murmured. You belong somewhere your voice is heard. Alana stood up slowly, gathering her bag. Maybe. But for now, my silence is mine to break, when it matters. She turned toward the door, but before leaving, she paused. You said power means making others feel small. You're wrong, Sheikh. Real power is knowing when to listen. And with that, she walked out. Kareem sat there, staring at the empty chair across from him. The sound of her words echoed in his mind, drowning out every deal, every applause, every hollow victory he'd ever had. Rayner finally broke the silence. You wanted to see what she really wanted. I think you just did. Kareem's gaze drifted back to the window, his reflection now a stranger staring back. Yes, he said quietly. And I think I just learned how little I understand about respect. For a long moment, neither of them moved. The city outside sparkled, a world of wealth and pride still turning. But inside that room, for the first time, everything stood still. Miss Williams, would you like to speak? The voice cut through the silence like a blade. Cameras clicked. Pens stopped. Every face in the room turned toward Amara. She stood behind the long mahogany table, her palms flat against the polished surface, her heart pounding so loud it felt like the walls could hear it. For a moment, she didn't move. The same fear that had silenced her before, that had kept her small, quiet, invisible, began to crawl back up her throat. Then her eyes met Khalil's. He sat at the opposite end, calm, powerful, and completely sure she wouldn't dare. His smirk said it all. You won't speak. But this time, he was wrong. Amara's voice came out soft at first, trembling but steady. For months, I've been told to keep my head down, to respect authority, to stay silent. She looked around, her gaze sweeping across the board members, the reporters, the flashing cameras. But silence is what people count on when they know they've done something wrong. The room went still. She continued, each word stronger than the last. I was insulted, humiliated, and treated like I didn't belong, not because of what I did, but because of who I am. But I'm done being quiet, not just for me, but for every woman who was told her place is to serve, not to stand. Khalil leaned forward, his composure cracking. This is not the place for emotional theatrics, he snapped. Amara turned her gaze on him, calm but fierce. You're right, she said. It's not about emotion. It's about truth. Gasps rippled through the room. She reached into her bag and pulled out a small black folder, the one Daniel, her unexpected ally, had given her. She placed it on the table and opened it slowly. Inside were printed emails, financial statements, and audio transcripts. This, she said, her tone sharp as glass, is proof that Mr. Khalil al-Rashid used company funds to intimidate employees and cover up complaints of discrimination, including mine. The sound that followed was indescribable, a collective intake of breath, disbelief turning into chaos. Board members whispered furiously among themselves, phones came out, and cameras zoomed in. Khalil shot to his feet. This is a setup, he shouted. She's lying. Amara didn't flinch. You taught me to serve with dignity, Mr. Khalil, but I learned something better. To stand with it. The words hit him harder than any accusation could. For a few seconds, no one moved. Even the reporters hesitated, unsure whether to ask questions or just keep filming history unfold. Then the head of the board spoke up quietly. We'll be reviewing this immediately. Mr. al-Rashid, you may leave the room. Khalil froze, disbelief flashing across his face. He looked around for support, found none. The empire he built on arrogance and fear was crumbling right before him. As he walked out, the cameras followed. For the first time, he wasn't the man in control. He was the one being judged. Amara stood in silence, her hands trembling just slightly. But her face, calm, composed, radiant, said everything. The woman who once carried trays now carried truth. After the board dismissed the meeting, a young reporter approached her. Miss Williams, she said softly, how did you find the courage to do that? Amara smiled faintly. Courage doesn't mean you're not afraid, she said. It means you speak anyway. Outside, the afternoon sun poured through the glass windows, warm and golden. It felt like the world itself was exhaling with her as she stepped out into the light. Her phone buzzed with messages from coworkers, strangers, even former customers, all saying the same thing. Thank you, she didn't reply. She just looked up at the sky and whispered, for everyone who thought silence kept them safe, this one's for you. And with that, she walked away, not as the girl who once served at tables, but as a woman who stood on the stage of dignity and refused to bow. She didn't walk out of that room defeated. She walked out reborn. Every insult, every laugh, every cruel stare, she carried it all, turned it into power, and left with her head held higher than ever before. Because dignity isn't given. It's claimed by those who refuse to let the world define their worth. And tonight, somewhere out there, another Amara is standing in silence, fighting the same battle, praying that someone will finally see her if her story made your heart ache. Don't just scroll past. Write her name in the comments. Let her know she's not invisible. Share this video so her strength echoes beyond this screen. And if you believe that Black voices, our voices, deserve to be heard, to be respected, to be remembered, then hit that subscribe button right now. Because here on Black Voices, we don't just tell stories, we honor pain, we celebrate courage, and we rise together. Stay with us. Because the next story might be the one that changes everything.